the lighting, I'm sure, is good. This is much more than usual.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay. Dov Hikind, thank you so much for meeting with us.
My pleasure.
You have an esteemed career here in the United States. 35 years as an assemblyman here in the
36.
36 years.
Twice high.
Okay. You've been involved in activism all your life. We're also on a mission of activism. Our mission is to try to bring the Jews home as quickly as possible. We think that the Jewish people have come to a crossroads. The truth is that for 76 years, the doors of Eretz Yisrael have been open for Jews to come home. And we believe that that window of opportunity may be closing. And it's time now to make Aliyah. And that's our message, that Aliyah now. Tell me your thoughts.
So there's no question that, look, it's wonderful when Jews want to make Aliyah because Eretz Yisrael is our home. I mean, that obviously is the highest level. You know, it's there. Why are we not there? It's a question that I don't have an answer. You know, no excuses. You know, we have Eretz Yisrael and we can go home, and it's not so complicated and difficult as it was in the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. But now you have an additional factor, and this has always played a role, where Jews are being challenged all over the world in a way, from my perspective, like we have not seen since the Holocaust. I mean, today when you talk to Jews about the future, let's first, in America, I mean, Europe, forget it. I mean, all these countries in Europe, it's anti-Semitism is out of control. It's over, it's finished, and they better get their act together and just do what they need to do in terms of going home. Here in America, for the first time, I don't think you'll find anyone who will not agree that something is terribly wrong in this country in terms of Jew hatred, in terms of anti-Semitism. And where is it going and what's going to happen? And I had someone who called me on the phone, a total stranger. She described herself as an elderly woman, and she asked me, when will we know, or how will we know when it's time to leave? I couldn't believe it. I mean, just a total stranger. She described herself as an elderly Jewish woman. Is someone going to ring the bells and we know now it's time to go? It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, because you may look at things and say, look, the restaurants are full everywhere. Jews are in the restaurants. Jews are going on vacation. Jews are basically, you know, things are very good for Jews. But I think every Jew knows that something is going on, okay? And people now more than ever at least are thinking about, you know, the concept of going home, going to Eretz Yisrael. It's not easy for people. You know, there are different times in your life that it's easier and more difficult in terms of your children. But I think that everyone needs to seriously think about this. I mean, the fact is, Israel is a beautiful, magnificent country with challenges and with difficulties. And but everyone needs to seriously think, you know, or start looking into it, or start asking questions, or maybe finding a home in Eretz Yisrael. You know, there are things that you could do that could bring you closer. For some people, they can just go. There are people who every year make Aliyah. Not that many from America. I mean, that is the numbers speak for themselves. But there are people who actually just go. They pick up and they go. For a lot of other people, it's more complicated. But everyone, I believe, needs to start thinking and looking. And I talk to people. This one bought something in this part of Israel. This one is looking here. This one is looking here. People are doing that more than ever before, and it's just part of the reality of. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen. I have a very bad feeling that I could tell you. I don't have a good feeling. Like, there's no place in the world where ultimately Jews did not have to leave. You name the country, at one time it was heaven. Jews were asked to come, Jews were given the highest respect, Jews were successful in every single measurement, okay? Economically, spiritually, religion, everything was fabulous. And almost without exception, if you look at history, Jewish history, it ended, it was over. And there's something going on in America today that should concern every single Jew in terms of, you know, we all believe in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for those of us who believe in Hashem, right? We believe in Hashem. Like, what is Hashem telling us? Something is going on. So we shouldn't wait till it's too late.
It says in the Megillah and Esther, I spoke on at CPAC, and I said this over to the Shabbaton. It says that, you know, the beginning of the Megillah, the Jews are doing very well. They're very connected, very influential. They're invited to the king's private party. And then there's a twist in the plot. And the Megillah says, Va'ir Shushan Nivocha, that the city of Shushan was Nivocha. What is Nivocha? Perplexed, confused. Rabbi Meir Kahana, Zechron Livracha, asked the question, that's a very strange adjective. You can imagine you open up your newspaper in the morning and it says you're about to be annihilated. What kind of emotions would overcome you? You'd be upset, distraught, scared, lots of emotions, but why confused? So he says that was precisely the adjective that needed to be used. Because the Jews of Shushan, just like the Jews of America today, had all the connections. Connections in the Congress, connections in the Senate. They had connections with the Biden administration and with the Trump campaign. This can never happen to them. And then, just like this, Haman accepted the ring, and it was happening to them. They were in a state of confusion.
When we put our faith in people, if only we had Trump, everything would be wonderful. It doesn't work that way. I always tell people, don't fool yourself. It's not about Republican or being a Democrat or anything like that. We are Jews. When you forget that, we are in trouble. So don't create heroes that are not really heroes. You know. So yeah, look, you're absolutely correct, but it's difficult. You know, it's difficult. You're still driving your beautiful car. Like I said before, you're still going to the restaurants, and when Pesach comes, people spend fortunes for hotels and everything in the world. But it can turn like this, and it did in Germany. It did in, you name the country, France, England, Spain, Portugal, you name it. You know, everything was wonderful, and then it just changed. And you know, the woman who called me and said, "When are we going to know?" The real answer, I mean, I try to calm her down, but the real answer is we really don't know, or maybe we do know, but our eyes are closed.
You're I'm going to call you a repentant Democrat, because you were a lifetime Democrat and then you switched parties. I think you already mentioned that maybe Trump is not the solution, but the question is, do you feel that there's any way out, a political way out of the situation that America has gotten itself into?
So first of all, you know, I make it very clear in everything I say publicly, I'm neither a Democrat nor a Republican. I'm now registered as a Republican for a simple reason, because looking at the overall picture, there's no question that Republicans, and I'm talking about non-Jews, okay, so our biggest problem sometimes in this country, in America, are the Jews. They're the problem. Same thing we had throughout Jewish history. Nothing new. People get very shocked, like, how can he do it? He's Jewish. Hey, read your history, okay? So I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I've always said I'm a Jew. I'm a Jew first. That is really what I'm registered as. You know, what's good for the Jewish people. And what's good for the Jewish people is really also good for everybody else. Look, right now things are really.
Would you call yourself a Zionist?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm a Jew who loves the Jewish people. Sometimes it's a little hard. I love Eretz Yisrael with all my heart and soul. I mean, our essence, our everything who we are is connected to Eretz Yisrael. There is no question, no one will argue with me, whether we want to or not, we are all going to end up in Eretz Yisrael sooner or later. There's no question. Some will wait till.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm saying I have a question whether. I always say that I'm not a follower of Avram Fried, so I don't believe that no Jew will be left behind. I think that just like in Egypt, where 80% of the Jews decided to stay in exile, and they perished in the plague of darkness, I think that similarly we're going to see similar. I have no reason. I don't see any source in Chazal that would suggest that La'asid Lavo in the future, that one of the fundamentals of our faith, which is that of free will, is going to be taken away from us, and people are going to be forced against their will to leave and go to Eretz Yisrael if they don't want to. People want to stay in exile; they'll stay in exile. The fact is that they're, unfortunately, it's terrible to say, but we're managing to do to ourselves what Hitler, Yamach Shema, didn't manage to do to us, and the assimilation rate here is in many places 70 to 90%. That there's statistically that's not sustainable.
Right. Look, we on another note, we in our communities, Dati communities, on whatever level it is, we need to do a lot better to be an example, not to the Goyim alone, but to our own people. We need to set a better example than we are setting. I mean, the thing that scares me more than anything else is not our enemies. It's the machlokes, it's the division, it's the divisiveness, it's the sinat chinam, it's the lashon hara within our own community. It's everyone being so judgmental. Everyone is protecting Hashem, and Hashem does not need anyone's protection. Hashem wants us to take care of each other, to respect each other. It's bein adam li adam, be adam l'makom. But so many times that entire concentration is on the bein adam l'makom. And from what I remember, the Beis HaMikdash was not destroyed because people were not sitting and learning, or running to the mikveh, or eating the most stringent kashrus. It was because of the way they treated each other, the way they undermined each other, and so on. And this, to me, when I see this within the Jewish community on so many different levels, in Israel, in America, like, why don't we get it? We have Tisha B'Av, and we have all these different things like where we should be concentrating. I always say that after Yom Kippur, does anybody change in the slightest way? Like the next day, they're not the same person. We daven and we fast and we go through this entire day. We prepare for it in every way. Does anybody say, I'm going to do one thing where I'm going to be better? I'm going to change something. One thing instead of promising Hashem everything. So look, we have to do better. We have to be a better example to people, whether it's loving Eretz Yisrael, bringing people closer to thinking about going home. Israel is a place that's someplace in Israel will appeal to any Jew in America. There's such a diversity of places and such beauty and such everything that is, Hashem really gave us the cream of the earth. It's called Eretz Yisrael. So, but we have to love each other first before anything else, and we have a way to go.
So there's a political argument. I've heard many excuses why Jews don't make Aliyah. And there's actually a political argument made. I won't say it's very compelling, at least not to me, but the argument goes something like this. Jews need to stay in exile in order to influence their host countries, in order to support Israel. We need to be in America in order to have our influence on the American government so that they can help Israel and support Israel and they can give aid to Israel. Your thoughts?
I don't think anybody uses that argument anymore.
They do.
It's an argument from way back, why it's an excuse, not an argument. It's really an excuse why not to make Aliyah. I mean, first, if you have faith in Hashem, which sometimes we just forget about that, we don't factor that into the equation. We're very practical, like, oh, we can't leave because then in America, hey, we're in horrible shape right now. Look, where's our influence? The American government, President of the United States, just decided to hold up certain arms shipments to Eretz Yisrael. Right? That was just done. And, almost all the people from that political party said nothing. They were quiet. They were silent. Because it was politics. So where are they? What's the point of all of it? And by the way, many of the people who love Israel, the non-Jews, they love Israel for other reasons. Nothing to do. A lot of the senators who are the greatest supporters of Israel, the greatest supporters, don't have any Jews living in their districts. And some who have 1 million Jews living in their district are not there, are missing in action. They betray Israel. Forget about not doing the right thing. They actually betray Israel. So that excuse, I would urge anyone who uses that, I would say to them as a political person, don't worry about that. It'll be okay. You can go.
You just did a video critiquing Chuck Schumer as he claims to be a protector of Israel. I just wanted to hear a few words of what
No, I don't know if
thoughts
you're talking about the video I actually did today where I said we're looking...
with the Israel Day Parade. That
Yeah, right. So, great example of someone who has claimed the mantle of being a Shomer Yisrael. That's what, for 25, 30 years, that I remember every time I've seen him at a public function, he says, you know what my name means? Shomer, I'm the Shomer Yisrael. And my attitude with a guy like him is, with such a Shomer, God forbid you end up in a gas chamber. Okay? And it hurts me to say what I just said, but that's how I feel about someone like him. And what I actually said was...
He betrayed Israel.
He betrayed it. There's no question. He betrayed, he undermined, he really hurt. He was like the rabbi that said to his colleagues, it's okay to do what Biden is doing. Because, hey, I'm the Shomer Yisrael. I'm telling you it's okay. He made it kosher. He made it glut kosher, actually. So very dangerous. I actually talked about, I don't think it's possible, but actually going into federal court to bring a lawsuit against him. It's called false advertising, someone who's selling you something and it's all a lie. I don't think we can really do it, but it was the idea of saying, this man, is lying to us. He's selling us something, that's not okay. So, I'm still looking at it, but I think it was more tongue-in-cheek to cause him aggravation, actually.
The question is, Chuck Schumer, to me, it sort of makes sense if he's saying, I'm an American senator. I'm not focused on Israeli interests, but on American interests. And I believe that this is what's best for America. On the other hand, as you already mentioned, his constituents he has a lot of Jewish constituents. And why isn't he being faithful to his constituents? Like, what is it? He doesn't have anything, he's not risking anything in betraying Israel?
If he was running for re-election right now, he would not have done what he did. He just got re-elected a year ago or so, he's not worried about 4 or 5 years from now. So that's part of it. I mean, believe me, if he was running for re-election right now, he never would have done what he did. But he actually claims, he's such a lover of the Jewish people, the Shomer, that he doesn't claim to be doing it for America. He actually claims he's doing it for the people of Israel. I mean, the chutzpah, the audacity that he, who sits in America here, even if he's a U.S. senator, so what? So what? He is lecturing the people of Israel. He is supporting, and by the way, he got the Haskama, the person who, after he did what he did, said, I agree with him, was none other than Joe Biden, who also is.
Who may have put him up to it?
It's, yeah. It's all look. It's so clear to everyone that it's politics. If anyone, no one should accuse Schumer that he did it lishma. Believe me, he didn't. Nothing to do with lishma. He did it for political expediency and nothing else. And it means being prepared to sell out the Jewish people. And obviously, he's doing it for us. We just don't realize. We're just not that smart, as smart as he is.
We've had this before,
Yeah, nothing
like
new.
Kissinger was
Nothing,
a similar.
Nothing new. I mean, it just, unfortunately, there's still a lot of people, and this is an important thing because it turns off other people, that if Schumer will come to your dinner, they're still going to hug him and they're going to be nice and they'll be hypocrites. And behind his back, they'll say how horrible and terrible and he's a sinner, but then they'll hug him and bring him and play that game. Because after all, he is a United States Senator, and he's not just a United States Senator. He's the most powerful senator in the United States of America. That's where having faith in Hashem comes in and plays a role. I mean, does Hashem have anything to do with it? We should be doing the right thing, and then Hashem will take care of things.
Every U.S. president, at least in modern history, has claimed to be pro-Israel. I'm talking about everybody from Clinton to Obama to Republicans like Bush and Trump. Everyone's pro-Israel. The question is how you define what pro-Israel is. Some of them think being pro-Israel is forcing Israel's hand into territorial concessions, and others feel that being pro-Israel is giving them their independence and allowing them to do what they think is best.
The only president that really let Israel make its decisions about its security and its future, and really did stuff that no other president has done, is Donald Trump. He's a little meshuggah, and that really hurts him more than anyone else. But there is no question that there is no one in second place in terms of when he was president, that he was really an amazing friend of Israel. Whatever the reasons were, whatever the motivations were, we don't care.
And people claimed he was an anti-Semite.
Well, obviously that's totally ridiculous. People claim all kinds of things and say all kinds of things. It doesn't, it's so preposterous. Look, he himself sometimes is his own worst enemy. He'd probably still be president from 2020 if he had done things a little differently. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what's bashared. But one thing
Have you publicly endorsed him?
I haven't done anything yet, but I could say without any question that there is no choice but to vote for him. No choice. I'm not a Trumpy or anything like that. And I said it before. No one should ever, don't put your faith in people. Okay, you can do it in tzaddikim. You can do it in a Lubavitcher Rebbe type of person. Someone who's really beyond special. But not in people, because you may be very disappointed. But looking at the past and judging based on the past, Trump was absolutely amazing, and no one is in second place. There's no one who comes close to him, without a question. And I hope that Jews, I don't tell Jews become a Republican, that's not my thing, but I hope Jews will show this year how they feel. I hope they will learn from our enemies. Our enemies are saying we're not going to vote for Biden because he's not being tough enough on Israel. I hope we Jews will say to Biden, because of your behavior. I believe that the Biden administration is responsible for more Jews dying right now in this war. This war would have been over already a while ago if the Biden administration would have just supported Israel unequivocally. Things would be finished and done with Hamas.
So just to put things on the table, I'm actually a big supporter of President Biden. I think he's the Aliyah candidate. And if anybody's going to get the Jews to move,
from that point
it'll
of view,
be Biden.
Yeah.
It reminds me, I was once at a gun store in Pittsburgh, and they had a big picture of Obama on the wall. It said the gun salesman of the year.
Right. Yeah, from that point of view, But look, Biden is just forget it. But
Do you think he's going to run?
Oh yeah.
No, I mean after the convention,
not
you don't
gonna
think they're going to
No, I
put
mean,
Michelle or Hillary or
first
Newsom
of all, they are in trouble. But Biden could win. It's in spite of everything, it's very, very close. It really is very, very close. And this, in politics, I can tell you one thing: whatever is going on today does not mean it will be the same tomorrow, and especially not weeks from now and months from now. So anything can happen. You have two candidates, one that can't walk a straight line and can, I'm talking about Biden, and it's like you look at him, it's like is he gonna be able to make it to the end of the podium? And then you have someone who just says so many things that are, as they say in Yiddish, narish, silly, not healthy, not good. But look, there is no choice between the two of them. If you care about the well-being of Israel, then you have no choice.
Do you foresee the possibility of a civil war in the United States?
I hope not, God forbid. I don't know. Look, things are very divided in this country. We saw what happened when the White House, the Capitol was attacked. Look, anything could happen. I mean, there's such hate in this country coming from the left and from the right, from both directions. And most people can be caught sort of in the middle of all that. And we should be very worried about the future. That's all I could say. There is no question about that. And I don't think anyone is going to argue with me. People may say, look, it's not yet, we're not yet. Do we want to wait till it's at that point where we may not be able to get out? I mean, I would urge everyone to study the history of the Holocaust and the history of Germany and what happened in the 1930s. Just study the 1930s. Hitler came to power in January of 1933, I believe it was. In January of 1933. Things didn't happen overnight. It took years, literally. It wasn't until Kristallnacht that things really turned. And even then, it was terrible, but it was just not even top of the first inning. Jews started leaving in the 1937, 38, but we always like to convince ourselves, and we will do the same thing here in America. It's going to get better. We're just going through a phase. It's just this individual, it'll be okay. We like to do that, and I understand it's human nature. Who wants to give up their beautiful homes? A lot of American Jews, they live quite well. They really enjoy, and it's not so easy to get up. And so I would urge people, start thinking so you don't have to do it suddenly.
When everybody feels the economy going south right now here in the United States, around the world, but definitely here in the United States, people that are used to very affluent lives, they're feeling it. And when things really go south in a country, the scapegoat is always the Jew.
Right.
And in this case, it might even be justified because we have a Secretary of Treasury and others that are Jewish that are actually running the show. So,
look, I don't know about the economy, how bad it is, and is it going to get worse? Actually, some people are saying it's getting a little better. It's not so bad. We don't. Look, the truth is we don't know. People were predicting a recession. We didn't have a recession. Can we still have one? Some people will say yes, some people say no. But, usually it is when things get economically bad that we are the scapegoat. But who says that the next time we Jews are going to be confronted with terrible things, that it'll be like the other times? Who knows? Hashem runs the world, and, it could be different the next time. So, I don't know what's going to be with the economy. I don't think things are so bad right now.
What's going on college campuses? Is that something that's organized? Is that something you think
there's
is
no
going to spill out into the streets, or is this going to?
There's no question that it is organized. I am, beyond organized. I would say that I'm actually jealous of our enemies because they are doing an incredible job of undermining the well-being of the Jewish people and the well-being of the state of Israel. They are so dedicated. They are so devoted. Every single day they are out there, they're demonstrating, they're closing down bridges and airports and colleges, and they're constantly there. And they're getting tremendous support, the media, from politicians. And we're verschliffen, we're sleeping. We really are sleeping. We know something is terribly wrong, but there's no plan. There's no plan. Since October 7th, what happened in Eretz Yisrael, the world has changed. So our thinking needs to change. How are we going to deal with things? How are we going to deal with a situation like we are confronted with right now? Jews are getting beaten up. Jews are in fear. Jews are taking off their yarmulkes. Jews are removing their mezuzahs outside their houses. There is no leadership in America.
Would you include rabbinic leadership or
Absolutely. There is no leadership, period. There are a lot of wonderful people. There are a lot of brilliant people. But just because you have a title doesn't make you a leader. Leadership, you know what? Leader, not to look the way the wind is blowing and how are people going to react and can I say this? You believe in Hashem, you believe in the Torah, God gives you the wisdom. I don't have to teach. There's enough written about leadership and what leadership is all about. We have enough examples in Jewish history of true leaders. And right now, we are basically orphans.
Two final questions,
Good,
and we can finish up programs. I apologize for taking so much time. There are those that claim that obviously it's dangerous here, and we feel it. It's the writings on the wall. But the biggest massacre of Jews since the Holocaust just happened. You mentioned October 7th. I call it Simchat Torah. Is it safer in Israel than it is here?
So, that's a question that I cannot answer. Israeli soldiers are dying every single day. Thousands wounded. Havoc in the north, in the south of Israel. I mean, look what's happening. All the concentration is in the south. Look what's happening in the north. People have been completely displaced. The other side is shooting missiles into Israel. Israel is totally innocent. Nobody cares. Nobody's interested. What's going to be? This has to be resolved, and it's a terrible situation. So to answer your question, I can't give you an answer that may satisfy anyone, but we believe that Hashem has the cheshbon. And at the end of the day, the sacrifices that are being made in Eretz Yisrael, the sons, the daughters, the mothers, and the fathers that are being lost, that were slaughtered, that there's some cheshbon from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that in time, we may have to wait a long time, it's all going to even out. Anyone who thinks that, I'm safe here in America, look what's going on in Israel, they just don't understand Jewish history. They just don't understand Jewish history. Baruch Hashem, you have an Israeli army. People can defend themselves. People can stand up and protect. I mean, it's the real leaders and the real leaders of the Jewish people is every soldier in the army. Every one of those is a tzaddik. They are sacrificing themselves. I mean, some of the things that I read, the beautiful neshamas, every single day, I open my phone to see the latest 5 times a day, in the middle of the night. I'm hoping that I don't see another picture of a beautiful, beautiful son, father, grandfather who has just died to defend the Jewish people. And when I say the Jewish people, it's the Jewish people everywhere. So I believe that Hashem is a cheshbon, and it's all going to make sense in time.
Okay, you've convinced me. I just wanted to finish off with a scoop. Give me a scoop here. When is Dov Hikind going to make Aliyah?
So I actually, it's funny, you mentioning Nefesh B'Nefesh, my wife started talking to them and ran into some difficulty. Not difficulty.
You couldn't prove you're Jewish.
But no, it's it was like, Shani, what happened? I actually have told my wife repeatedly, we have to make that. I want to be a citizen of Eretz Yisrael. Look, I have a home in Eretz Yisrael. We go there so many times. I mean, it's we're going in a couple of weeks for a month, at least. That would be my 5th visit. So we're actually working on that to make that happen. Yeah. And once I do, I will be very public about it.
Amazing. Okay, thank you so much.
Pleasure. That was more than 5 minutes.
I really apologize. It was so fascinating. I couldn't let it go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.